Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to be talking about right now is our money in the banks. And I am going to keep shouting this out, on the rooftop, on the mountain, I don't care, until everyone hears me. I mean, why? Because it's very, very simple and it's very, very possible that our money is not safe. I mean, where's the safest place to put our money? Well, for decades, we were told in the bank. For decades, that was right. It was correct. But what if one day the bank just says, sorry, not your money anymore, and they refuse to let you take it out? Well, that's not just random speculation by me. Many experts are actually warning that's what's coming. In fact, it already has a name, and it's called a bail-in. Mass panic, capital flight away from the U.S. banking sector is entirely justified. A crescendo could be reached where the Treasury and the Fed may have to come in and actually restrict our rights as U.S. citizens to pull money out of the U.S. banking sector. Capital flight from U.S. banks is not solely about fears on whether the FDIC will insure deposits above $250,000. And a blanket guarantee on deposits would not solve the problem. There is a capital flight, a deposit flight from the banking sector seeking yield. And I fear that, and I don't say this lightly, but in 1934, all right, with the Great Depression and all that, the Federal Reserve Act actually confiscated gold from the U.S. citizens. Okay. Now we're at the point where the Fed and the Treasury officials are having to consider a gate lock on U.S. bank deposits. President Trump actually warned us about this as well. He said something very, very interesting in his historic speech the other night. Well, many very interesting things, actually. It was a historic speech as far as I'm concerned, but one thing really jumped out at me, and that the crash of the US dollar. I don't know if you watched it or listened to it, but he talked about that. Listen.
Our currency is crashing and will soon no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat, frankly, in 200 years. There will be no defeat like that. That will take us away from being even a great power. If you took the 5 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done. Incredibly, we are now a failing nation. We are a nation in decline. And now these radical left lunatics want to interfere with our elections by using law enforcement. We can't let that happen. With all of this being said, and with a very dark cloud over our beloved country, I have no doubt, nevertheless, that we will make America great again. Thank you very much. And God bless you. And God bless America. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
So, with that, I'm probably going to go back to what my grandparents used to do and stuff the mattress. Now, I know it's going to be hard, because they're already starting to roll out UBI and CBDC and things like that. But while we still can, just leave enough in there to cover your withdrawals, like for your automatic withdrawals for your bills and things like that, and to take the rest in. And stuff your mattress. Save it for a rainy day. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's just going to come to a point where we're all going to get locked out. And when that happens, we're all going to because that's when credit cards aren't going to work, ATM cards aren't going to work. And then, you're going to be like, well, what's next? You know what I mean? Because a lot of places, they're not accepting cash anymore. A lot of places still are, of course. But that's when bartering is going to start happening. And I'm going to get into that in another video. But start putting things aside for bartering. Okay. I barter now. I have been for a while. I barter with contractors. My mechanic, I do all of his pressure canning for him. Okay. Start getting into things like that. Start getting used to doing things like that. Okay. Because that's what it's coming down to. I can feel it. I can see it. Because, yeah, okay, cash is king, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Sooner or later, guess what? It's not going to be king no more. Okay? So just start getting used to it. Just saying. And start learning how to barter, because that's going to be king soon. That's how you're going to start to be able to get goods that you can't get with cash anymore. Especially if you have skills. Okay. Like my skill, honestly, I used to be a hairdresser. I still cut hair on the side. Okay. So I do that in exchange for things. I do my pressure canning in exchange for things. Things like that. Okay. I also do dog grooming in exchange for things, things like that. So take your skills. You can use those as bartering. Okay. If you don't want to use your preps as bartering, okay, you take your skills and use this as bartering, because actually your skills are worth more than anything else, honestly. But this is what it's coming down to. It really, truly is. And I've been seeing it coming for a really long time. I have been. But if you want to put things aside for bartering, like your dollar store stuff, whatever the case may be, if you want to start putting like little bartering kits together, that's a really good idea. I wouldn't go too overboard with that. But if you wanted to do like hygiene kits, for example, I wouldn't really get into food kits, but hygiene kits maybe. Because food kits, if you do a food kit for bartering, then they're going to know that you have more food preps set aside. So that's why I say maybe some hygiene kits. Okay. Maybe even first aid kit, like a small little first aid kit for bartering. But I would use my skills first before I start to barter anything like materialistic wise. Yeah, but that's just my opinion. All right, guys, listen, I am out of here. All right, I will see you in the next one. You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping, and as always, fearless. Ciao.